In the 1990s, the Italian Serie A was the hottest league around, with the biggest stars, greatest teams and most electric crowds. The misty pitches, colourful banners, stylish kits and red flares became staples of a league that after the epic Italia 90, the world of football craved more from. Rich with every type of talent, the Serie A had a particularly selfish abundance of world-class centre-forwards, some of whom are still remembered fondly, while others have been somewhat cast into the shadows over the past few decades. Here's my objective list ranking the top 10 best strikers from the Serie A's golden age. Second strikers, trequartistas and fantasistas have been omitted, as this is focusing solely on centre-forwards. Number 10. Fabrizio Ravanelli. Perhaps remembered by the French for his time in Marseille, or the English with Middlesbrough, the White Feather was one of Juve's top scorers in the mid-90s. As a key player of Marcello Lippi's Champions League winning side of 1996, he was a consistent, hard-working lefty, driven by his will to win, which sometimes came out as aggression. Alongside the technical, diminutive likes of Roberto Baggio and Del Piero, he developed into a more complete striker, who could link up play and function in any position across the front line. Though not the most gifted marksman, he was versatile and fit perfectly into a very successful Bianconeri system that picked up every type of trophy in a 4-year span. With a crazy signature celebration to top him off, he was one who epitomised this era. Number 9. Enrico Chiesa. Before Federico came Enrico, a pacey, dynamic centre-forward who starred in some of Serie A's more exciting underdog sides in this decade. Excelling in the mid-90s, he was prolific for Cremonese and Sampdoria before finding a home in Parma, the club with whom he enjoyed his best years. A scorer of stunning goals, Chiesa was a vicious volleyer and dead ball expert who was an aerial threat despite his 5'7" frame. A killer on the counter, he was also capable in a deeper role as a second striker or wide midfielder, made possible by his vision and passing ability. Two-footed, opportunistic and a true professional, the Genoese attacker was a manager's dream who reached hero status for I Crocchiati. Number 8. Filippo Inzaghi. Slender, lanky and not pacey, Super Pippo was never the most natural or technically gifted footballer, but when it came to finding the back of the net, few could match him. A true penalty box specialist, he rarely scored from outside the area, shining in one-on-one scenarios. More so than his finishing, Inzaghi excelled because of the impeccable timing of his runs off the shoulder of the defenders to beat the offside trap. Described as a player who lived on the offside line, he made up for his lacking qualities of pace and dribbling by utilising his ability to read the game. A Capo Cannoniere winner with Atalanta, Lippi invited him to partner Del Piero in attack, supported by Zinedine Zidane, an unstoppable offensive triangle that guided the old lady to the title in '98. Later, in 2001, he moved to Milan, where he remained for a decade, becoming one of Europe's greatest ever goal poachers. Number 7. Hernan Crespo. At a time when Argentina was spoiled for choice of strikers, Valdenito emerged as the next star of Albiceleste and was signed by Parma, where he blossomed during a 4-year stint in the Gilet Blue shirt. Crespo was a subtle assassin who intelligently drifted between defenders to lose his marker and create space. Not as physical as some in the division, he couldn't overpower centre-backs, so instead he outthought them, with darting runs to meet across. Dangerous in the air and composed in the face of goal, he was the team's target man, yet the Argentine was adaptable and relished alongside a strike partner like Chiesa, who benefited hugely from Crespo's generosity. Though he had many more fantastic years into the 21st century, the number 9 performed so well in Emilia-Romagna that Lazio dropped a world record transfer fee to acquire him in 2000. He netted 80 times in these 4 campaigns to become Parma's all-time top goalscorer, adding another Argentine to the rich history of the Italian top flight. Number 6. Gianluca Vialli. Irrefutably one of Italy's finest ever number 9s, the man from Cremona made a name for himself in the mid-80s with Sampdoria, where he shared a 2-pronged attacking fork with childhood friend Roberto Mancini. The goal twins led Sampdoria into their most successful period, culminating in the club's first Scudetto in 1991. While consistent and industrious, Vialli was also seen as a modern class of striker in Italy, who coupled technique and finishing with quickness, athleticism and strength. In 1992, he transferred to Turin, and in the famous black and white stripes, he spearheaded Juve's offence to glory on all fronts. Flamboyant and full of energy, his keen eye for the spectacular resulted in a brilliant array of impressive goals. He mixed chic and grit to great effect, and carried himself as a respectful leader both on and off the pitch. Number 5. Giuseppe Signori. Perhaps alien to the uninitiated, Beppe Signori was one of the decade's most prolific scorers, and has the stats to prove it. Lazio's 5'7" attacker was quick and tricky enough to twist centre-backs into a frenzy and score from any angle by adjusting his body to shoot on his exceptional left foot. Cutting in from the wing or blasting through a defence, he was always able to tuck away the chances that seemed impossible to convert, in a way almost reminiscent of Maradona. His remarkable one-step set pieces were extremely rewarding, and he is the 5th most effective spot kick taker of all time in the Italian league. With the Biancocelesti, he picked up the Serie A top scorer award 3 times in a 4-year time span from 1992 to 96, bagging 107 goals in 152 matches for Lazio, numbers that most couldn't replicate. Forgotten by some, completely unknown to others, he deserves mention as one of the main beneficiaries of the revolutionised attacking Serie A. Number 4. George Weah. Hailing from the obscure West African country of Liberia, King George arrived in the fashion capital after 7 groundbreaking seasons in Ligue 1 and swiftly lit up Italy. Known more for the quality of his goals than the quantity, Weah's vigour, pace and pure power stunned the league, while also giving the world another sound reason to tune in to Serie A. Already well known after his period in Paris, the Liberian proved he could literally drive through the greatest defences in Europe's toughest league. With quick feet and an arsenal of efficient skills, he could drop his shoulder to beat a man, and for many he was a pioneer of the modern style centre-forward, dropping into deep or wide rolls to pick up the ball and start an assault. Additionally, his strikes were powerful and accurate, able to shoot from distance or inside the box to beat the keeper. For the defenders, he was terrifying and unstoppable, earning a Ballon d'Or in 1995 as the first ever African to receive the award, cementing his legacy as a great of his generation. Before naming the final 3 spots, here are some honourable mentions that narrowly missed out. Vincenzo Montella. Lailo Planino was a pacey, all-rounded forward with a low centre of gravity, who pounced on chances and picked up a reputation as a poacher. Versatile, skillful, and having a great eye for a pass, he could play as either the creator or the finisher. Oliver Bierhoff. An aerial expert who regularly scored for both Udinese and Milan in the latter half of the decade, the German target man was not the most exciting player on the ball, but turned up for his team when needed. Christian Vieri. Despite spending one of his best seasons in Spain and excelling as a Nerazzurro into the 2000s, Bobo's few years with Juve and Lazio clearly indicated that his was a name to remember. A mighty left foot and ruthlessness in the face of goal, he earned the name Il Toro for his speed and force before his injuries. Number 3. Marco van Basten. An exceptional talent who enjoyed his prime years in the late 80s, the Flying Dutchman is widely regarded as one of, if not the best ever centre-forwards, who inspired countless superstar players. Revered for his elegance and intelligent forward play, he was dubbed the Swan of Utrecht, ascending to the highest prestige and lifting his third Ballon d'Or in 1992 after scoring the most in the division during the Rossoneri's unbeaten league run. Captaining defenders such as Giuseppe Bergomi, Tony Adams and Paolo Maldini have noted that he was a complete player, blessed with strength, speed, vision and athleticism, who also stood at a towering 6'2". Gifted enough to play in deeper roles also, his movement and distribution was vital at times to help the well-organised Milan break down teams, and Van Basten was a leading figure throughout the golden age in the club's history. However, in the 90s, the Dutchman was only able to enjoy 2.5 seasons in the red and black stripes, as repeated ankle grievances cut his illustrious career short when only 31 years old. Third may be a surprise for some, but if this list was about the 80s, Van Basten would easily take top spot. Number 2. Gabriel Batistuta. Viola's Argentine angel was the poster boy of 90s Serie A. In the purple kits, riddled with novelty sponsors, Batigol was a fan favourite who spent almost the entire decade with Florence's famous club. A perfect striker in his heyday, brute force was his distinguishing trait, bodying his way past his marker or out-jumping them in the air before aggressively unleashing a cannonball strike from his feared right foot. Initially all power, no accuracy, when he honed this skill in Italy, no one could do it better, and keepers were at a complete loss. Typically preceded by his famous machine gun celebration, Batistuta oozed confidence as the talismanic number 9. In 1994, he broke a 30-year record by scoring in each of the first 11 league matches and went on to captain Fiorentina through a bright spell in their humble history. By the end of his tenure, he had hit double figures in every season since arriving in Tuscany, loyally staying with the club when relegated in 1993, in spite of the tempting offers that came his way. He fell in love with the city as they had with him, and rightfully, his legacy is cemented in bronze outside the Artimo Franchi as their all-time top scorer. Number 1. Ronaldo Nazario. Recognised broadly as the greatest striker in the history of the game, his time in Madrid may be more familiar to the masses, but at Barcelona and Inter, R9 was a true phenomenon. Slender, lean and 6 foot tall, the Brazilian was designed to run, and his lightning speed in the 90s separated him from the competition. Uncatchable with the ball at his feet, he made the best defenders in the world look like kids on a playground by incorporating skills right off the streets of Rio into his game, something that many had never before seen. The ball seemed magnetically attached to his feet while he sprinted past the back lines, and his finishing left little to be desired, consistently getting on the scoresheet with neat finishes. As with Weah, the Brazilian was one of the new breed of centre-forwards who was multifunctional across the front, influencing the following generation of strikers. A showman and a killer wrapped in one, he enthralled the global audiences while terrifying his opponents as the most dangerous striker on the planet. Throughout the 3 years in this decade Ronaldo spent in Italy, he can't boast the ridiculous numbers or longevity that others can, but in his peak before injuring his knee in 2000, O Fenomeno was an untouchable, unstoppable monster who set the standard for others to try and match. What are your thoughts on the list? Please like, subscribe and leave comments for future lists or other videos you'd like to see.